How does purity culture define sexual sin? Imagine growing up hearing that your worth is tied to how well you follow certain rules about sex. That's what purity culture often emphasizes. It mainly sees sexual sin as any sexual activity outside of heterosexual marriage. This includes not just sexual intercourse but also behaviors like masturbation and watching pornography. Many in purity culture believe these acts are morally wrong and separate from God's plan. The idea is to keep oneself pure until marriage, which is seen as a key way to show faithfulness and obedience. In this view, sexual sin isn't only about physical acts. It also covers thoughts and feelings. Lustful thoughts are considered just as sinful as acting on them. This means that if someone has a desire or fantasizes about sex outside marriage, they are seen as sinning. The culture promotes the idea that controlling these thoughts is part of living a pure life. It encourages believers to suppress or manage their feelings to avoid sinning in their minds and hearts. Responsibility for maintaining purity often falls more heavily on women. They are expected to dress modestly and behave in ways that prevent men from being tempted. Women are seen as gatekeepers of purity, responsible for protecting their own virtue and sometimes even the virtue of the men around them. Men are often portrayed as naturally more sexual and more prone to sin, which can lead to a double standard. Male struggles with sexual temptation might be excused or seen as normal while female purity is strictly monitored. This focus on purity can lead to feelings of shame and guilt if someone falls short. If a person experiences sexual thoughts or actions that don't meet the strict standards, they might see it as a moral failure. This can affect how they see themselves and their worth, making sexuality a source of emotional and spiritual stress. For Christian teens today, these teachings can create challenges. They might feel pressure to suppress natural feelings, which can be confusing or lonely. Fear of failure or rejection can grow if they believe they are not meeting purity standards. Struggles with self-worth related to their sexual identity or past experiences can also develop. Sometimes, these teachings conflict with personal feelings or questions about sexuality, leading to internal conflicts. Despite these challenges, purity culture can give some teens a clear sense of purpose. It offers a framework for making decisions about sexuality based on faith and shared values. For some, the J comes from striving toward these ideals and feeling part of a community that supports their commitment to waiting until marriage. Practically, Christian teens can remember that purity culture's definition of sexual sin includes thoughts, feelings, and actions outside of marriage. Recognizing the emotional impact of shame is important, and seeking conversations with trusted mentors can help. Balancing faith with self-acceptance and respecting their own feelings is key. Engaging with leaders who understand both the struggles and the joys of living out these values can make a big difference. Overall, purity culture frames sexual sin as any expression outside of heterosexual marriage, emphasizing control over both outward behavior and inner desires. This view influences how many teens experience their sexuality and faith, shaping their personal choices and how they see themselves in the process.